Twisted Travelers Podcast, your weekly dose of theme park news and entertainment. And now, here to talk all things coasters, theme parks, and even more, here are your hosts, Jack Lathrop and Chris Jones.
Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of the Twisted Travelers Podcast. My name is Jack. I'm sitting here as always with my co-host Chris. How's it going tonight?
Going great. Very excited for this episode. This is going to be a special one, I think, so.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to this episode for a decent amount of time now. We've got a great guest coming up that you all have figured out by now because you read the episode title. But we're going to get to that.
We're not going to leave his name out the title.
And we're not going to leave his name out of the title.
We need those listens, people.
Hey, that's not wrong. But first, before we get to all that fun stuff, let's talk about the very light week of news we have. Starting out with Great White getting some track work done. I think we could just rename this Track Work the podcast and it would be fairly accurate.
That'd be pretty accurate, yeah. I can see it.
We've talked about track work pretty much every week for the last month, I think.
Most of it is lightning rod, but, it's alright.
I thought we weren't mentioning that.
Well, we're kind of stuck doing that anyway.
That's true. Okay, but... So, yeah, getting some track work done.
By Gravity Group.
By Gravity Group. Supposedly, they're going to get new trains.
Yeah, I've heard that hasn't, there's no confirmation on that, but nobody really knows for sure from everything I've read, but it's a good possibility, I think, so.
Yeah, I think it would run good. I haven't ridden it myself, but I think it would run great with Timberliners. Probably help the ride smoothness, longevity. It's going to be good, though. So track work is a good thing. So good for them.
Yeah, Maurice Pierce getting stuff done. That's positive for sure. Okay, next up. This is a ride that we don't know a whole lot about, but
we want to ride it.
Both very excited for. And that is this GCI over in the Middle East. That's apparently going to break Steel Vengeance's airtime record, and we got some pictures. And it's coming along.
Is, first off, Renegade style drop. Yes, please. On top of it just looking like GCI saying airtime, 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 airtime. It's Mystic Timbers on steroids.
Yeah, the layout kind of reminds me of Python and Bamboo Forest because it looks like it's kind of doubling out, but also with all that little twister sections and laterals. But man, it looks like it's going to be great. This area keeps adding more and more. Eventually, one day, we're just going to have to say, well, we're going to go on a trip. We can't keep pushing it back. And I think when this thing opens, that's going to be the moment for me, at least.
Yeah, there's no way we're not riding this thing. It looks too good to be true, honestly.
Oh, so it's going to be huge. I'm so excited, especially with how much I love Mystic and Prowler.
Yeah, doing a Middle East trip is one of those trips it's almost going to be like going to Energylandia, I feel. In the next couple of years, this area is going to boom, and so it's okay, we could go now, but if we wait another year, they'll have this. But if we wait another year after that, they'll have this. I feel like It's just going to be, when are we biting the bullet? I think it's when this GCI is open, and of course COVID goes away, and it's safe to travel and all that.
And we still have to see if Falcon's Fury actually happens or not, but,
Again, I don't think it's happening in the way that it was originally shown, but I bet you money that park is happening.
Probably. So. All right, let's talk about the one negative thing on here, though.
Yeah, I'll let you pronounce the name because I'll butcher it and you'll make fun of me, and there's nothing new there.
Montaña Rusa at La Feria de Chapultepec, I believe it is getting removed. That was the park that had Chimera, and I think I had another Schwarzkopf, but it's got new management. It's going to reopen, but they are removing their dueling wooden coaster, Montaña Rusa, which is a shame. I mean, I think everybody was kind of thinking it had RMC potential, but
I think there were a lot of people just wanted it to stay because of how historic it was.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. But even then, It could have made a killer RMC, I think. But yeah,
Oh,
shame that
I
that's
agree.
closing. You know, I couldn't have seen myself going out there to ride it anytime soon. But when I do get out there, it's going to be sad when it's not there. You know.
That whole park is, unless they invest heavily in it, that park is no longer on my like radar because they no
Oh
longer
yeah,
have Chimera and they no longer have Monte Rosso. How do you say it?
Montagna Russa.
Montagna Russo. Okay, here's your backstory. Chris took Spanish. I did not. I don't understand how it works.
Yeah, it's a shame it's not going to be there, but I'm not in no hurry to get out there as much as I am Six Flags Mexico, because
So
Medusa Steel
six,
Coaster, yes please.
and their Superman looks fantastic. Like
Yeah, it does.
fantastic.
Like, might be the best Morgan. Well, Phantom, not counting Phantom.
I was gonna say Phantom. I don't think there's any
Steel
way it
Eel's really
tops
good too,
Phantom.
so it's going to be close. But yeah,
You
there's that.
okay. Steel Eel looks good. Now I say this having not ridden it myself. Steel Eel looks good. There is nothing Morgan has ever done that can lay a finger on dropping down that 200-foot
Oh,
ravine
I believe you. No, I
and
believe you.
graying out at the bottom of it. Like that
I,
is peak Morgan.
I do not expect Steel Eel to be better than Phantom, but I do think it could be close to Superman of Mexico.
Yeah.
You need to ride Steel Eel though. Like it doesn't look from POVs and video like it's gonna be some crazy coaster, but that first half airtime is something special. It is violent.
Well, I'm just saying the Drunk Riders are supposedly doing a Texas meetup sometime in the spring, and I may or may not be looking into going. So,
I already have so much planned for next year, man.
I know, I don't. So, Texas. Woohoo! Next up, though, a subject that is near and dear to Chris's heart because we absolutely adore the original. The Mac Extreme Spinner for Plopsaland, that right?
Plopsaland
Yes,
upon, yes.
yes.
Belgium, right? Yeah.
Yes, is going up really fast. And while, okay, I'll say this, I don't think it looks better than Time Traveler because it
Thank
does
you.
not use the terrain. Some of the elements on this thing look messed up.
Okay, listen. Everybody's saying it's going to be better in Time Traveler. No, it will not. Nothing is going to beat that drop in the terrain usage.
No, yeah,
However, it
there's
will
no.
be very, very good.
It's gonna be great. I think some of these elements are gonna be very, very weird, but I don't see it like you said. There's no way it's topping that drop straight out of the station, and also Time Traveler has some moments that are pretty violent. Now, here's
Ridiculous.
the thing about of them is it does require getting the like you have to be spun the right direction for it to really
Well, this will
affect
have
you.
the same thing probably.
Yes, but like the banana roll and everything, I think going through that spinning's gonna be cool. I think a JoJo roll spinning will be cool.
Yes, that's one of the elements I wanted to talk about. The JoJo is going to be crazy, and then I do expect the drop after you go up after the launch and then dip a little bit. I expect there to be great airtime on that, but I don't think it's going to be Time Traveler level. It's going to be really good. Like, knowing how much I love Time Traveler, it'll probably be a top 15, top 20 coaster for me, but I don't think it's going to be my number 1 or in my top 5 or anything.
Yeah, for me, I think the layout looks great. Again, like pretty much reiterating everything Chris said, airtime looks to be phenomenal just from what we can tell based off shaping and everything. I just don't see it beating Time Traveler almost purely because of terrain usage, which is
Right.
something I don't realize how much I value until I go
That's for
ride a
both of us.
coaster like see, you have grown up not having it. For me, terrain coasters are what I ride all the time, so I forget about it, and then I go ride a parking lot coaster, and I realize how much I hate it.
And that is one of the reasons why I don't think Twisted Colossus is going to be one of my top RMCs.
I will say this about Twisted Colossus: you forget that it's a parking lot coaster if it's dueling.
Yeah, okay, I can see that, but that's rare. But yeah, the terrain looks awesome, and let's just talk about Belgium. Belgium, what is going on? Y'all are going crazy over there. You've got this huge Intamin Mega. You've got this coming. Like
It's heavenly. We're going
Belgium
there.
is the spot to go coming up in Europe.
So we're going. If somehow, because at this point I'm going to consider it a miracle if we get to go to Europe next summer.
Yeah.
If we get to go, Poland, Germany, and Belgium are the countries I want to hit for sure. Sweden is right
I
there
mean,
too, but those three are the three I want.
here's what I'll say. If you prioritize those three, that's cool. I'm just gonna have to save up extra to go to Sweden before, because I am not. You know, I'm not missing Helix.
I mean, I want to ride Helix and Wildfire too, but there is a lot of stuff in Germany, Poland, and Belgium I want to ride. More than
Oh
in
yeah. I,
Sweden, that's for sure.
I don't think we need to worry about that right now because I don't think we're going.
Yeah, rip.
So that gives us time to plan even more and hopefully save up. And when we do make a Europe trip,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna go big. I think.
Yeah, but transitioning. Speaking of zero cars and speaking of awesomeness, Leviathan at SeaWorld Australia. Is that what it's called, or does
Oh
it?
my gosh,
I can't talk.
Australia.
You take over. I can't talk.
Okay, Leviathan at SeaWorld in Australia. We got a zero car revealed, and it looks sick. Gravity Group, all of their zero cars look great. This looks like it's gonna be one of the best. Um, we've talked about Leviathan some, but like having the reverse back car looks like it's going to be really good. I'm really excited for this ride. It looks like a lot like Cuchulainn in Ireland to me, which looks like one of the best gravity groups. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be airtime filled, intense ride, and SeaWorld is really becoming a destination in Australia now, I think, because of this and those other additions they're adding the flats. But someday I'm going to have to go out there and ride DC Rivals and Leviathan. And now they've got the Blue Fire clone, which isn't too far from those two parks. So I'm excited for Australia, for
Yeah,
sure.
Australia has definitely jumped up a lot because it started a couple of years ago with DC Rival. That was like, okay, we got to go ride that. But it was hard to justify saying we're going to Australia for DC Rivals, and that's it. If you were going to go to Australia now, if I'm going to Australia, I'm going to do some of the tourist stuff and enjoy my time there. But it was hard to just make it a coaster trip. But with the last
Yes.
couple of weeks, even we've seen the progress on Leviathan. We've gotten the single rail announcement plus more additions for that park.
Oh, I forgot about the single rail.
You've got the Blue Fire clone. They're adding more and more in, which is making it more compelling to make an Australia trip eventually. Because I need
It'll
DC
happen.
Rivals in my life. But going back to what you said about it looking very similar to some of the other gravity groups, it also gives me some of the Jungle Trailblazer vibes, based off
Yeah,
what we've seen. Which
definitely.
all the Jungle Trailblazers, there are like what 12 of them now or something ridiculous.
And
One,
they're not
two,
even
three, four,
clones.
5, 6, 7. There's 7. Sorry, my bad.
That's still a lot.
That's still a lot. But all of those rides look great, and this just looks to be like another one that's coming to Australia. So, also, correct me if I'm wrong, but Australia doesn't really have a good wooden roller coaster, do they?
I believe the only Woodies that they have are like those really old scenic railways. I don't even think they have a single modern Woody. I don't even think they have like a PTC or a CCI or anything like that. So yeah,
Um,
that makes it really unique for the area, which is great.
let's see. Like, there's none there. I'm literally running through Australia real quick.
I'm 99% sure that's right.
Okay, the Wild Mouse at Luna Park. That's one.
Oh yeah.
There's a scenic railway at another Luna Park.
Yep, I'm pretty sure it's like only scenic railways, other than the Wild Mouse.
And yep, so you've got a scenic railway, a wild mouse, and now you're getting a gravity group. So Australia is
Big
getting
jump up.
a big, good wooden roller coaster. So good for them. Good for them.
Obviously, very very good. Um,
Yep.
now it's your turn to talk about Dollywood.
Yeah. So that wraps up news. Quickly talking about Dollywood's Smoky Mountain Christmas. I finally got up there yesterday. It was December 6th. Finally got back up there. First time at Christmas this year, and I have got to say, Dollywood delivered. This is probably given everything that has happened this year, there was no need for them to like go full on, and they went full on. Starting out with this year, they did a huge emphasis on the color zones, which if you've listened, I don't know if we've mentioned it, but if you've listened to Justin's podcast, Snapshot Made Yesterday, he definitely has
Which
talked
you
about
should.
it. And yes, you should listen to it. I'm going to be on an episode coming up, folks. It's going to be great. We do talk some Dollywood, but we talk some Christmas stuff too. It's going to be fun. But we definitely this year Dollywood put a huge emphasis on their color zones, which are very apparent once you start walking around in the park. Basically, Show Street is like multicolor. Craftsman's Valley and Rivertown or River Junction are your yellow color lights, and then Glacier Ridge, which is pretty much from when you walk. It's Glacier Ridge is Timber Canyon. It's from when you walk under Mystery Mine until you get back to Show Street. Is all of your blues and whites, and it looks really, really good. And they did a great job of blending the lands together. It's not like a harsh change. You'll go from like all the like yellow soft lights, and then it kind of fades, and then it starts fading in. So it looks really good. But the best thing about this year's Christmas festival, Smoky Mountain Christmas, is the candlelight carols. I really cannot talk tonight, can I?
What is going on?
Carolers. There you go. Which they're doing at the chapel on Craftsman's Valley, which, if you're familiar with Dollywood, it's the chapel. It's beautiful. I love that place to death. And they have live you know what I mean, on the steps of the chapel singing at night. It's beautiful. There's candles all around them. All the audience members get like a disposable candle so they can have them with them. It's beautiful. I loved it to death. I immediately texted one of my friends that works at the park. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing y'all have added in years to any of the festivals. Like, if you know me, so my favorite festival has always been Harvest Fest and Luminite. But this makes Smoky Mountain Christmas like way higher up than it has been in the past. Just this alone. And so I can't wait to get back up and see all the shows. On top of that, though, Eagle was running great, Tornado was running great, Thunderhead was running great. Lightning Rod, if y'all follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you've seen the pictures, you've kind of got an idea of what's going on. So just stay tuned for more Lightning Rod stuff because it's coming. But yeah, Dollywood Smoky Mountain Christmas 2020, great as always. You got to get here and see it.
It from your pictures, it did look gorgeous, but Yomori Land during Christmas, Jack.
Oh, I know, I've seen the pictures. Oh,
Yeah, we gotta go there.
yes.
All
Yeah.
right.
Next up, real quick, another thing from me before we get into our guest. TMP 2021 calendars are sold out. I sold the last one pretty much as soon as last week's episode posted. So thank you all so much if you bought one. If you didn't get one, next year is going to be even better because every year I get more pictures and it just gets better and better, and it gets harder and harder to pick which ones make it. So, of course, stay tuned. Next year around October, you'll start to see stuff happening with those calendars. Also, one other thing with random stuff. If you follow me on Instagram and Twitter, you saw I posted a lightning rod train pic. I'm gauging interest right now. It's a lightning rod train poster I've been working on. If you would be interested in buying something like that, let me know. I'm trying to figure out how many people would want something like this so I can figure out the best way to print and distribute it. So let me know if that's something you're interested in.
I'm interested.
You get most of the stuff I make anyways.
That's true, but I'll buy it.
Okay, it's gonna be $100.
I gotta figure out where to put it, and 100 might be a stretch for something that'll probably end up like on the side of my closet where you can barely see it because I'm out of room. But hey,
Wait, hold on. Then what are you going to do with the multiple Print My Ride train models you bought? Because they're just going to end up sitting in your room, and I know what you paid for those.
I'm getting another shelf. That's different than wall decor.
Is it though?
Yes, I have a spot for that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. But no, yeah, seriously, if you're interested in something like that, let me know. Also, I have Dragster, Millennium Force, and Maverick train prints too. So, again, if you're interested, let me know. We'll figure something out. So now you've all seen the title, and we're here with our special guest. It's Taylor from Coaster Studios. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, sorry about that. I just was taking a sip of my tonight's sponsor. It's a cheer wine.
Oh, hold on.
Why'd you do
Chris,
this?
Chris, cover the dead air while I go get one.
Just for you.
For you. I'm going to get one. Chris, cover the dead air.
A can of fresh brewed. Well, it has wine in it. I know. It's cheer wine. It's not alcoholic. It's a soda.
Oh my goodness.
I feel bad for everyone who has no idea what this drink is.
I don't know where this is gonna lead.
Aren't you so glad you invited me on?
Oh, well, of course I am. I mean, we're gonna get like a ton of extra listens. I already know that, so thanks for that.
I haven't even done anything yet.
I mean, just your name in the title, you know.
Hey, I'll take it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I've returned
we're
with cheer wine.
appreciative.
Let's hear the pop.
It didn't pop great. I already popped
Oh,
it.
no.
I held it right next to the mic and it didn't pick it up. I'm sad. Yeah, this is my favorite stuff ever. So
It's so good. It's ridiculously good. I wish it were standard all across America, but it's not.
yes. So my grocery store's been running a special on it, and it's like 60 cents a bottle from the glass bottle. I'm like,
Ooh,
all of it.
Okay.
I want all of it.
I typically just pick up like a 12-pack, just in cans.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent
yeah,
of the
bottles are
glass
good.
bottle, and with it being only
I like the glass bottles. Well, yeah.
It's like 60 cents a bottle. Can't say no to that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so where did y'all talk about while I was gone?
Cheer wine.
Yeah,
Cheer
a
wine?
little bit. I talked about how his name in the title is gonna give us listens, you know, that sort of stuff.
Well,
Haven't jumped into anything.
Okay, well, Chris, you wrote this first question, so I will let you start.
Okay, well, first, it is an honor, Taylor. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
You are one
Absolutely.
of the people that got me into this community, and I appreciate that.
Oh, no, thank you. I love hearing stuff like that, so that is fantastic.
I think we both got into coasters, and one of the first things we found were your videos. So that's true for both of us.
It was you and Midway Mayhem.
Really? Okay, that's awesome. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah, Dan's a good friend of mine. Do you remember what videos you found first? I'm curious.
From you, it was the early reviews, just when I, started learning about parks outside of Florida, where I'm from. And then with Dan, it was mainly Universal construction updates in like Volcano Bay around that
Okay.
time. That was what really got me started.
I
cool.
think the first video I saw from you was probably, and this is really going back, it was a park battle.
Oh, the parodies as
gosh.
well. The parodies. I
It-
would marathon
I
those.
definitely want, I want to say it was Cedar Point versus Kings Island park battle. That sounds right.
Okay, at least it wasn't. I did some obscure ones back when I was getting started. I was really stretching it. I was like, okay, which ones can I compare here? And I came up with some weird matchups. So, all right, Kings Island and Cedar Point. That's at least a decent one. Now, when I started those videos, I don't think I had been to either park. So
Oh,
that made no sense. I had no authority to be doing those videos other than I had a good idea. And
Although you could almost
So-
make the argument, since you hadn't been, that they were more unbiased, I guess.
that is a valid point. And which made it interesting when I did them for parks that I had been to, or when I'd been to one park but then not the other. I remember, one of the earliest ones I did was, King's Dominion versus Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and I think that I was trying to sway it towards, King's Dominion or something, because I was like, well, this is my personal favorite, and that was obviously immoral, and I should not have been doing that. So, but definitely for some of the other ones where I hadn't been, I was like, I don't care which one wins, it doesn't matter to me. But
yeah.
looking back on it, it would be interesting to bring them back, but in like a much better way.
Well,
It's something I've considered.
that was something I remember was requested forever, was that you bring back park battles, and you always said no to it.
Well, here's the thing: is that the concept was not bad. It was a good idea, but I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. As I mentioned, I hadn't been to any of them, so just execution in general was poor, and there were a lot of like flaws in the different things. And I remember trying out different ways of like scoring it to make it a bit more fair. And so I think if I ever did bring it back, I'd just kind of get rid of the scoring system, and I'd just kind of take those same categories and just kind of weigh the pros and cons with each of them, and then just kind of leave it up to the viewers. So I'm like, look, if you enjoy this, and this, you'll probably like this park. But if you like this, and this, then maybe consider going to this one. So it's something I've thought about. We'll see.
It'd be a cool concept to bring back.
I'd like to see it back. I mean, they were good videos. I liked them.
Well, I'm glad someone enjoyed them. So
we had to have something
we will
to do
see.
when we were stuck at home, and
Yeah. Well, maybe one day when I have more time, I'll do it, which is something I do not have right now.
understandable.
All right. So while on the topic about your early days of Coaster Studios, what actually brought you to starting Coaster Studios, and why'd you want to do it?
So I know I've told the story a couple times with different people. I actually met a YouTuber that I liked when I was a freshman in high school, and he put me in a video and said, "Hey, Everin, go check out this guy's channel." And I didn't have anything on it, and I'm like, well, now I have all these people subscribing to me, and I don't have anything to put. I felt obligated to post something, but I didn't want to just copy that guy's videos. I wanted to do something, that I enjoyed. Again, I didn't really have any ideas or anything, but I liked roller coasters, and so I was like, well, maybe I'll start doing roller coaster videos. And actually, the first video I ever did was a park battle. It was a Dollywood versus Silver Dollar City. Again, I had not been to.
This is
either
an
one of
argument we
those.
have constantly.
It's actually something some of my friends and I we talk about too, because I mean, there's definitely, you can make a very valid argument for both of them.
Yes. And I'm biased because one of them is my home park, so.
Well, of course, but okay, do you guys believe in also bias against your home park? Because
Yes.
that's something I found is where I'm suddenly a lot more interested in parks that are not my home park.
Yes, I feel that. Like, in my park rankings, I feel like Busch Gardens Tampa could be a lot higher, but like, I've been there so many times, it's lower than it really should be, I think.
What happens is you start to lose your appreciation for
Yep.
things, and what I found is that you kind of gain them back whenever you visit the park with someone who has never been before.
This is
For sure.
very
That's
true.
so much fun, and it's something that isn't, I think, talked about enough. But yeah, being with someone when they're experiencing something for the first time, it's like you're seeing it through their eyes. I love that. Like going to Cedar Point with someone for their first time, or Dollywood, whatever it is. It's awesome. It's such a cool feeling.
Well, and I can
agree.
attest to that, and I think Chris can too, because we were at Universal Studios a couple weeks ago, and I'd never been to the studios side of Universal, and walking into Diagon Alley for the first time, everyone was watching me, and that's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah. Oh man, I experienced that for my first time with my sister, and we both love Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And when because we got to the studios park, we went straight there. We walked in, and we both were like shaking.
Oh,
it was so
and
cool.
My whole thing was like, I could not look down. I was just so busy looking at everything. I was like,
Yeah.
it's like if there's someone in front of me, I'm totally gonna walk into them because I was just transfixed.
Yeah.
It-
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so amazing. And
Well, it sounds like a good time. I saw you met up with my
yes,
the S in Sailor.
we love her. She's amazing.
Yeah.
That was fun. Hagrid Night
I-
Rides.
Yeah, we got.
Oh, yeah. That's always good.
Yeah, Sarah and I got a front row night ride on Hagrid's. That was epic.
That's pretty cool. The last time I rode Hagrid was at, let's see, it was the IAPA after party, and I rode it at night with Mike Graham from the Gravity Group, and we
Ooh.
got stuck in the drop track section.
We momentarily got stuck there as
broke
well.
down. Yeah. It was our last ride. We were sitting there for, it was a bit. They turned on the lights, and it's funny just because it was everyone there is industry, and we're all just sitting there. We're like, yikes! Hope no one from Intamin is on this train.
And if someone was from Intamin was on that train, they were probably like, okay, push this button and turn that knob. And
Yeah,
it
they're
should
like
work.
yelling, like they see the security cameras and they're like miming like what to do to how to fix it.
That would have been really funny.
It was cool though. One of my friends is a designer at Intamin, and I didn't ride Haggard with him for the first time, but I saw his reaction coming off, and the look on his face was priceless. He was like obsessed with that ride from that point on, where he was riding it. Like, I think he got 5 rides in, and that is a fairly short event. I mean, it lasted, I don't know, maybe 4 hours, which, considering the line Hagrid gets, the fact that he got 5 rides on it is pretty impressive. And so,
Yeah.
I don't think he did anything else that night other than ride Hagrid.
When we were there, for 2 days. We got 3 rides our first day and 4 the second day. And so I spent the majority of my birthday just marathoning Hagrid's, and I was like, "This is perfectly
That
fine
is a
with me."
great birthday present.
Yes, I was like,
Virtual lines.
I've only ever ridden one roller coaster on my birthday, because my birthday's in November, which means
Same
there's
here,
only
yep.
a couple places that are open. And I rode it. It was funny enough, it was another IAPA after party, but it was at Fun Spot, Kissimmee. The ride was Mind Blower, and I rode it with Scott Schaefer.
Another person
fun.
we love.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm seeing both him and Sarah this weekend.
I know. I saw that you gave in and are going to New Jersey now.
I don't even know why I gave in, but yes, I caved, and I am going to New Jersey with them.
It will be fun.
It will be fun. It will be fun.
Go stare at Jersey Devil and.
Oh, believe me, I will. I absolutely will.
I need to get back to that park so I can change my opinion on El Toro.
Next year, Jack.
What's your opinion on El Toro?
I'm not very
Am I not gonna like it? Am I not
very
gonna like
fond. Yeah, I'm not very fond of that ride.
Ooh, yikes! What the ride that's been like my number 2 for like my entire life?
Yeah,
Oof.
It was one of those rides that everyone said was going to be amazing, and after I rode it one time, and I was like, that wasn't as good as everyone made it sound like it was going to be.
Did you have a wheel seat?
We had back row, so.
You want to do second and back?
Yeah, I talked to El Toro Ryan last year, and he was like, "Yeah, second to back is where you need to sit." So.
Yeah.
Hopefully, with Jersey Devil, gives me an excuse to go back up there and ride it.
Oh sure, yeah, absolutely.
That being said, though, Nitro I love that ride. So
That's fine.
It's almost I get like it's not everyone's, but like for me that's the type of ride that I just go to.
Okay. I mean, no, I totally understand that. My mom is the same way. She loves her B&M Hypers. I think that's her favorite kind of ride.
They're just solid. That's what I love about them. It's like I know what I'm getting and I know it's gonna be fun.
They're all good.
Yeah, totally.
All right. I guess we should actually get a little bit back on track now.
Are you implying that we're tangenting?
No, never.
No, not on this show. Never. Not the show
Never.
that based their show off of the Drunk Riders. Okay. So this is an interesting one. How do you feel about being a big face of the community and having such an influence on younger enthusiasts?
Yeah, so I never really see myself as one of the prominent people in the community. I see myself as a member of the coaster community, and I acknowledge that a lot of people in the community know who I am, and I appreciate that. I hope that people have a positive opinion of me. I know not everyone does, and that's fine. You can't please everyone. But I always just try to be a good influence on people. I'm constantly, whenever I'm doing a video, thinking about who's going to be watching this. And I recognize that a lot of them are going to be families. I've met a very diverse amount of people that are fans of the channel. I have met entire families where every single member is a coaster enthusiast. The parents, the kids, ranging in ages from college age to I don't know, like 6 or 5, and they all enjoy it. And so something I do is I try to tailor my videos to people that are knowledgeable about roller coasters. I think a lot of my videos, you kind of have to have some sort of understanding of the community. I don't necessarily go too technical, although I really do enjoy the videos where people do get technical. But I don't necessarily also go into explaining kind of basics. Like, if you're unfamiliar with Intamin, they're a manufacturer based in, blah, 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 keep going. So I think that in a way, it's great for people that maybe they hear something in one of my videos that they don't know what that is, and so it inspires them to go and find out, and so they go and do that research on their own, looking up different things. There's plenty of sites out there where they can find out information, and it's worded a whole lot better than I could ever do. But I think that a lot of my videos are, I mean, there are definitely some that are kind of educational based, but for a lot of it, it's kind of entertainment focused. It's to get people excited about this industry because it's such an amazing industry. It's a great community, and I hope that everyone has a positive experience in it. And so I'm always appreciative when I meet fans and who like earlier what we talked about, or kind of got into roller coasters, or my channel helped them get into roller coasters. So I love that kind of thing.
Now, when you're making these videos, do you feel any sort of pressure because of how many fans you have?
No.
Interesting.
No, I don't really focus on that kind of thing. I mean, as bad as it may sound, sometimes when I'm looking at videos, I mean, there's a lot of, analytics that you can go into YouTube. And so a lot of the time, sometimes all I'm looking at are numbers, where I see this is how many people watched this month. This is how many minutes watched. This is the number of views, subscribers, that kind of thing. And so, I mean, I do have to remind myself that these are actual people who are watching, but it's very easy to forget that and just be looking at numbers and saying, well, only 5,000 people watched this one. That's not as much as this one that got 18,000 last week. And, so I don't know. Unfortunately, because I've been doing this for so long, a lot of the numbers don't faze me. So I don't get a sense of, I don't feel pressure to do well. I think when I do sometimes feel pressure to do something, it's because I think of someone specifically that I know will be watching it. Maybe it's a video I did with some industry people, like at IAPA, or maybe I went to visit a manufacturer and I did an interview with this person or something. And so I'm editing it together. And so I'm thinking in my mind, I'm going to be sending this to them later, and I know that they're going to see it, and I want them to feel like I did a good job, and I want to be able to have a good relationship with them so that I get invited back, or we're able to continue that networking. And so I think that's sometimes the only times when I feel pressure, because I want to please them. So
Right.
yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get that.
Yeah, I understand that with some of my Dollywood pictures, because I have a couple of friends that work at the park, and they are like, hey, I want to see your stuff. And I'm like, let me go find the stuff that shows y'all in the flattering way, and not some of the stuff I take that shows y'all in not the flattering way.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, that's interesting about talking about the numbers, because I've definitely myself looking at Twitter and Instagram numbers. It's easy to get like, oh, this is like 2 more likes and I'm at this number, or a couple more followers and I'm here. I mean, look at Sarah and I. We just did a bet on who was going to hit 1,000 followers first, which
yeah,
I'm not sure. I think the goal is for everyone to be there and there to be as many cameras on my face as possible when it happens. So,
oh, I'm sure it'll be glorious.
I think Scott's bringing multiple cameras.
Good. Let's get that slow-mo.
Oh, it's gonna be bad. I don't know if she's showed anyone else, but she sent me a video of her practicing on her roommate, and I was very, very, very scared.
That's really funny.
I showed it to my mom, and she was like, "You're gonna have to like wear a neck brace or something."
Oh my gosh.
It was bad. It was. I was like, Oh, I'm doomed, aren't I? And she was like, yeah. Okay, but moving forward with our content that we're actually here to talk about. So one thing I've noticed, especially because I think I've been watching long enough to have seen this whole transition from going to from videos more like park battles and more reviews to this definitely more cinematic look and feel that you've taken the channel to. What's that been like?
Sure. So, I mean, first off, I'm a cinema major, so I think that absolutely has played a factor into it because as I've been learning about all these different things that are pretty standard in the film industry, I'm turning around and I'm applying a lot of those same ideas and practices towards what I do with YouTube. So a lot of the times when I'm uploading something, if it's footage based, I'm not necessarily focused on the numbers. Like I am very well aware that off-ride videos never perform as well as other stuff, but I don't. That's not. It's not really why I post it. A lot of the times, it's me practicing certain shots that I'm trying to get or improve on a certain skill with that. But it's nice to be able to then apply those in kind of an engaging manner. So maybe it's using that footage for a documentary, or maybe I sat down with someone on talking with them about whatever it may be, and so then I can have some footage to show. And so I think that's kind of where it started. Is I'm just trying to become a better filmmaker, and I think making sure that your footage looks good is absolutely a factor in that. And there's lots of different steps in that. I mean, having a good camera is a good place to start, but learning it and trying out all these different settings is something that can absolutely produce interesting results because you never know what you can find. And then playing a lot with it in post and figuring out what you like and what you don't. I'm a big fan of color grading, and so I like giving my footage different looks, and I think it's fun. It's not for everyone, but I certainly get enjoyment out of it. So I think that's a lot of where it comes from.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. You talk about color grading there. As a photographer doing editing and color grading on my pictures, that's one of my favorite things to do. Is it's like, okay, I took the picture. Here's where I can make it look exactly how I want it to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, half the fun is in post.
Yes. And then so it actually kind of leads into another question I had put down down the line. You talked a lot about cameras and or doing stuff in post. So what cameras and softwares do you use for everything?
Sure. Yeah. So I have lots of different cameras, but one that I use primarily is a Sony A6500. Whenever I'm vlogging, well, that camera's changed up a couple times. Right now, I have a Sony ZV-1, which is a fairly new camera. But I like it because this is the first time that my vlogging camera and my camera I primarily use for footage are of the same brand. And so that means that they have the same menu system and you can configure them to match something. So that's come in handy when you have a ride that has a locker policy. And so you can't bring any bags into the queue. Well, here now I have a pocket-sized camera that I can shoot something from the queue and bring it on the ride with me, zipped up in a pocket, and it'll be totally fine. And then that footage can look like it came from my much bigger camera. Not as many capabilities, obviously, because that's to fit in your pocket, so you can't go super telephoto or anything. But that's something that I've recently been a big fan of. I have lots of different gear. I have a gimbal from Moza that I use for a lot of my footage. I have a Sennheiser mic that I use as a boom or a shotgun. And I have a Shure M7 mic that I'm on right now, which hopefully sounds good. And,
yes, it does.
Thank you. And let's see, what else do I have? Well, I edit primarily in Final Cut Pro, but I have a variety of editing softwares, including DaVinci Resolve, and I have experience in just about every single major editing software out there, but Final Cut is my preferred.
That was
I
the
have a
other-
lot of different. I have a lot of different plugins that I use for that, so it's kind of souped up. So that's kind of why I turned to that instead of maybe some of the others, just because I don't want to have to go through the process of transferring plugins or just getting new ones. So I like Final Cut. It's nice. It's intuitive. So.
Yeah, that's always one of my questions I love asking filmmakers, because usually I hear either one of two things. You hear Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
And they're both great. I'm also a big fan of I mentioned Resolve. Resolve is fantastic, but Sony Vegas is great. Or I guess it might just now be Vegas, but they have a really good editing suite for audio. It's brilliant. And I'm certified in Avid Media Composer, which they use to make all the movies. And it is a very intense software. It's like, how complicated do you want this? Yes. So
It's like
it is.
slider has reached the
yeah.
end and is just going and going and going.
It is not intuitive. It is so complicated, and so I do not enjoy using that editing software. But I do know how to use it.
I could understand not wanting to use something like that, though. Like, there's a point where it's like, does it really need to be this complicated?
Yeah, well, and exactly. Well, and here's something that I've realized is I'm also kind of taking steps in, the film industry. Is you get some clients that they're picky about what you're using, which is, in my opinion, very stupid. Who cares what software you're using as long as it turns out well? And so there's people out there that they're like, I want you editing in this suite. And it's like, well, here's the thing. If I do this in Final Cut, I could turn it out in half the time, and it'll turn out just as good. It can handle everything. I mean, if we're talking Final Cut maybe a couple of years ago, like before they went through a big revamp, which was it 2007? I don't know, but they went through a major overhaul. Well, now it's like it's kind of on the same par with Premiere, but before that, Premiere was miles ahead of Final Cut. Final Cut was kind of looked down on, so it's nice to see that Apple would decide to step up their game with it.
Yeah, I don't have as much experience in Premiere Pro, but I have a lot of friends at school that use it for their journalism projects because our school is crazy, and they're like, yeah, let's buy all the kids a copy of it.
That's nice.
It's one of those things that's always puzzled me. It's like, we spend money on that, and yet you won't buy us new laptops, which we need to run the software. But
yeah. You got to have a good computer for it. I have a MacBook Pro 15-inch 2015. So it's a great computer.
I had a
I've
13
been using
inch
it
of
pretty
the
much
2015
of the MacBook Pro.
Yeah, I had a 13-inch for years, and then I put something through the screen while it was in my backpack because it's got the glass Apple on the back. Something went right through that and came through the front of the screen. So that was the downhill. So now I'm on a 2020 MacBook Pro, which is also amazing.
Okay. With a little touch bar at the top?
Yep.
Okay.
It's one of the last Intel-based Macs. I was like, I'll go ahead and get an Intel one, and I'll ride that out, and then I'll get the
And they got rid of
chip.
all the USB ports, so you have to use an adapter now, right?
Yes, this is the weirdest thing. Is I have multiple adapters. I have a USB Type-C to an SD card reader because I need one of those. And then I have a three-way that has another USB Type-C, an HDMI, and a USB port. And I will say this, though. The charging through a USB Type-C is insane. Like,
Okay, that's
I'm
good.
ready for iPhone to switch over to it because it's going to charge so fast.
Okay, interesting. Okay, that's cool.
Yep, random tech things.
Yeah. We're boring half the people who do not care. Get back to the roller coasters.
It's going to be my dad while he's listening to this. He's going to be like, I thought this was supposed to be about roller coasters. Why are we
You
talking?
guys got off topic too much.
That was last week.
That was last yes.
With Marcus.
Marcus and Mark came on
nice.
last week because we've been talking about doing just a funny satirical episode for a while where we can decided once and for all if Orion was a Giga or not. It's like, let's get Marcus and Mark in on this because they're two of the most vocal people about it. So it got interesting.
Lots of tangenting.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sure. That's expected.
Of course.
Most of the
I think they've been
time
on
when
like
they
4 or
come
5
on,
times.
when they come on the show, I'm just like, I just write a thing under that. It's like tangent.
Yeah.
I don't even bother writing questions because I just know it's gonna happen.
That's great. Love it.
Well, okay, let's see. Let's talk about... Okay, we've touched on it a bit, and you've definitely talked about it some, but I'll ask it again. When you're at the parks filming, what are you looking for? Because this is something I know as a photographer, that when I'm at a park, I experience it different because I'm looking for shots constantly. So what's it like for you when you're at a park filming?
Sure. So, I mean, I very much, whenever I'm just walking around, and I'm sure that you are in the same situation. I think once you are with a camera for so long, you experience this where when you are just walking around, no matter where it is, does not have to be at a park, you are almost seeing it through the lens of a camera where you're like, oh, that'd be a good shot if I had a camera with me or something
Yes.
like that.
Aim into that. It's like, ugh, why didn't I bring the camera?
Yeah, so I'm always thinking of visual composition. That's something that I'm looking for. Is I'm using my eyes to see what would be nice framed up in a certain way. And I mean, sometimes I'm picky. I'm like, this would be a lot better if I moved 3 steps to the left, like something oddly specific like that. And so whenever I'm walking around with the camera, first of all, my camera is almost never in my bag. It is always, with the strap around my neck,
Yeah.
and it's almost always in my hand. So I rarely ever put it away. The only time I put it away is when I'm about to ride a ride. And guess what? When I get off the ride, the camera's coming back out. So
Yep.
I'm always trying to think of directional lines, and I'm trying to get some good depth in there. So just whenever, I mean, it just depends on the circumstance. I mean, if we're walking on a pathway, then oftentimes I'll try and get maybe some guests walking around, some just kind of general park shots. It's not all about the roller coasters. I mean, there's definitely, what I love about amusement parks is that there is so much that you could get cool photos or videos out of. I mean, it's heaven to walk around and you can see there's so much potential. Let's take Busch Gardens, for example. You got animals, you got nature, there's trees, flowers, running water. Then you got these huge thrill rides, and there's people, there's food, everything you could possibly want. And so that's something I love, is it keeps things interesting because you can go for a completely different purpose. When I was in middle school, fun fact, I'm sort of good at drawing. Well, sort of. I took an AP art class, and so I did these drawing classes for years and years and years, and I really liked my art teacher, and we would do a yearly trip to Busch Gardens for the sole purpose of getting reference photos. So we'd bring our cameras out, and we were to take pictures for something that we could use to draw. And in our class, everyone liked drawing different things, and we all were able to get something completely different to use as a reference photo. Architecture, birds. Of course, I was photographing the roller coasters, and we had a fun day trip out of it. So that's a little tangent about why going to theme parks is so much fun to be a photographer or videographer.
Yeah.
That was a long response to a very short question.
It's a good response though, because it's all very true. Like, you're right, when you're walking around a park, I'm in the same boat. Like, the camera is rarely in a bag. It's only ever in a bag if we're riding a roller coaster, or maybe if I'm eating, because I found that finding a place to put that camera with that lens on a table gets complicated fast.
Yeah.
Which, also,
Jack
random
has to flex his lens size.
I still can't get over going to the Keys to the Kingdom vlog and just being able to
Oh my
hover over it,
gosh.
and it's us comparing our camera lenses. Like, that
was so funny.
that's still one of the funniest things ever to me. So
It's so funny.
I was
Every time I think about that, I'm like, I mean, I have a long lens. Yours is ridiculous. And then have you seen the one that Scott took to Cedar Point?
Oh my.
That's longer than any of ours.
Yes, I was like, Scott, You
It's
could see
insane.
Tony Clark's office with that.
Absolutely.
No, well, because I remember like that video coming out. I was like, oh, I'll watch that later. And John Knight texts me. He's like, you need to go hover over that thumbnail now. It's like, why? He's like, just do it. And I was sitting in the living room and I just busted out laughing. And my parents were like, are you okay? And it's like, you need just come look at this.
It was not intentional. I promise that.
No, because usually YouTube just randomly picks that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's completely random.
Yeah, that hilarious. One of my favorite things. Yeah.
That was a fun day.
Yes, that was a really fun day. I'll scroll back through pictures to try to find someone or some to post on Instagram, and I just have to scroll past those pictures I took of you, Scott, and Sarah, and I'm like, those are good pictures.
Yeah. There's been some good memories from this year. 2020 as a whole has kind of sucked, but I mean that whole weekend with Hollywood Nights and Keys to the Kingdom was one of the most fun weekends I've ever had. So
Yeah.
I mean there's definitely been some good things that have come out of it.
Yeah, for all the bad stuff that's happened, there has been a lot of good stuff. Oh, now I'm just going back to riding Voyage at night, dressed up as dogs.
Oh, so fun.
I should have been there. I should have been there.
It was an experience.
It was really something. I don't know if we're ever going to get to do something crazy like that again. I hope, but...
Hollywood Nights is 6 months away.
I know.
Isn't that weird to think about?
It
feels
kind
like we
of
just had
is.
it, but yeah,
well,
6
we were
months
looking
away,
at-
so who knows?
Last week on the show, we were actually looking at the weekend because Marcos was I wonder if it's going to be a new moon or not, which it's not, sadly.
Rip.
Yeah, no, we were all like, ugh. But, okay, so one more big topic, and then we can kind of just tangent until we run out of stuff to tangent about. So, the biggest project, I think, this is probably your biggest project you've ever worked on, is the RMC documentary.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So, the first thing I gotta ask is, where did this idea start?
So the original idea that I had for this was actually a little bit more focused. I had an idea I'm always thinking of things that would make, cool documentary or whatever, but the initial idea I had was actually for an Alan Schilke documentary, just specifically focused on him because he's had so much influence on this industry. I mean, going back from starting at Arrow to SNS, RMC, I mean, he has played a major hand in so many different roller coasters. You look at an enthusiast top 10 list, probably 8 or 9 of the coasters on there are rides that he did. Like, it's stupid. So that was my original idea.
Top 2, so.
Yeah, so what happened was I had reached out to him and I actually didn't hear anything back. And so I was kind of going to plan B, just in the instance of, this might not happen. And so I had previous relations with some of the people from RMC where I had been to their facility. I had talked with them at IAPA, and so I had their contact information. I knew I'd get a response, and so I reached out to them about what they thought of a documentary about them. And I don't know what response I was expecting, but I was not expecting what they said and the way they said it, which was, we've been wanting someone to do a documentary about us for a long time, and we think that you would be the fantastic choice to tell this story. And we're like, I was like, oh my gosh, like what? Because they had mentioned that there was a TV crew that had come out and was trying to shoot like a reality show, like trying to dramatize it all. And then they were like, nah, this isn't really working. That, we want, someone who will actually do a good job. And they're like, we've seen your stuff. We know that you care about this topic. And so they were completely on board with it. It was an overwhelming yes. I was expecting maybe a yes, not an overwhelming yes. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, so that was, we talked about pressure earlier. I was like, oh man, I am starting to feel the pressure and I haven't even done anything yet. So, and the whole reason why I I was seeking out someone to do this documentary because I'm about to graduate from my university, and part of my final project is you have to do like a capstone on something of your choice. And so I've taken a specific interest in documentaries because I did Save My Park, I did one like Kingsman, I've done some like small features, and so I knew I wanted to do a documentary, and I was working with some classmates, and there were some ideas tossed around, but there weren't really any real ways where we could like even get started. Like we didn't even know some of these people, and so I had already met some of the people at RMC, and so I was like, I at least have a place to start at, and so that's kind of why I reached out. And as soon as we got the overwhelming yes, I was like, all right, we're good to go. And then COVID hit, so that was fun.
Yes.
Yeah, so this was we had that initial conversation in January. March rolls around, completely throws off our plans because we were originally going to go up to RMC in April to do a lot of our filming, and then everything just got derailed. And so what ended up happening was I spent the summer at the parks that allowed it, doing a lot of different filming with. So it was Dollywood, Cedar Point, Silver Dollar City, Kentucky Kingdom, and then at the end of August went up to RMC with Scott and Sarah. They've been a huge help with this project, and we just did 4 days up there of basically nonstop filming. And at the end of that, I was like, is this it? Like, do I have everything? And then I was like, no, I don't. I still don't have Alan, because when I had reached out to him originally, I didn't hear back from him. I'm like, okay, now that I actually have all this stuff shot, I should be able to get Alan logically. And I'm still reaching out. I'm still not hearing anything. And so, I mean, because I'm friends with people like Scott and stuff who have talked with him, and they had basically they had gone out and seen Alan out in Utah, which is where I go to school, which is a little convenient. But they had gone out and seen him, and I had them ask if he would be okay to do an interview, and he had said yes. And I was still I didn't want to just call him because I'm just some guy. I had met him once. I didn't really know him that well. And, but I just wasn't getting a response via email or anything. And so finally, I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to suck it up. And so, I get a hold of his, phone number. I send him a text. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, this is never going to work. Like, he's going to think, who's this weirdo Thuzy that got a hold of this note. I mean, if I got a random text from someone, I'd be like, who's this? Like, no. But actually he was super cool about it. He was like, hey, just come up whenever you want. He was about like 2 hours away from me. And so I was like, holy frick. And so, went up to see him, and, I think it was October, shot a great interview with him, some awesome footage. It was kind of the major thing we were looking for. I mean, when you think of RMC, it's Fred and Alan. So I knew that we couldn't really do this without him, and so that was amazing. And then the last major thing that, well, I mean, we're still filming, so we're not done. But one of the other major things that we need is Fred grew up in a small town in Wyoming, and for this, I really needed to go there to get a bunch of footage of it because we had all these stories from him growing up, and so we had planned. Me and a buddy had planned a trip to Yellowstone. I'd never been, and where he grew up was like an hour away from that, and so we actually planned a visit out to the town he grew up in, which has like 1,000 people in it. It's a really small town. It was actually super charming. I really enjoyed walking around with it. It was really quirky, but something I didn't anticipate was I didn't realize that he still had family out there, and so we actually got a tour of the town from his brother, and then shot an interview with him. And it was just and that was, I mean, there's been a lot of miracles in this project, but that was one that, I mean, we didn't have that set up until I think less than 12 hours before it actually happened. I mean, it was, so some of the people that we've talked with and everything, it's been insane. And then the last shoot we did was at Six Flags over Texas. We actually went out and met the family at over Texas and filmed them at New Texas Giant, which was super cool. And we were really thrilled that the park was able to help us out with that so we could get the content we were looking for. And the plan right now is to release it next year, mainly because all the RMCs that were delayed this year are going to open next year, and I don't want to open it without getting, Jersey Devil, Iron Gwazi, and now Stunt Pilot in it. So, yeah, it's been a lot of work. It has been a ton of work. This point that we're currently at with it is, we ended up deciding that we had so much content that it wasn't feasible to get this entire story told in time for graduation. And so we, to turn in order to graduate, we are submitting a shortened version where we're basically telling the story up until New Texas Giant.
Okay.
And that is where we're at now. Is that version is pretty much done. We haven't submitted it yet, but we're making very small tweaks to it at this point. I mean, very minuscule things, and we'll be showing it at to our classes. Let's see, in like 2 or 3 days, something like that. And we might end up seeing if we can send that version to a couple festivals, but we don't want to widely release it to the public until we can tell the full story, because we recognize that there's a whole lot more to this company. There were a lot of really cool things that we cut from this that really are important that we hear, but just for the sake of this video, we're like, well, let's condense it down here, only get to the most important stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely have heard a lot less stories than you, but I've gotten the chance to talk with some RMC employees at Lightning Rod because they love to come just watch that ride and watch it fail miserably as it so often did in its early years. Then one of my other favorite things I've gotten to do is talk with Ann Irvine and Brian Andre a couple of years ago.
Oh, they're great.
They actually met.
Yeah, we interviewed them for this.
Yeah, so they met my dad and I for dinner one night in Ann Arbor.
Really?
I just emailed, I was like, hey, could we meet and talk about getting into the industry? They're like, yeah, we'll meet you for dinner. So that was awesome.
That's awesome.
But one of my favorite stories they told me that night was actually where they signed the papers for Steel Vengeance.
Ann told that story in her interview, because I also went to Ann Arbor to interview him there, and in the interview she told that story. It was very cool.
I know. I was like, so you're telling me Fred Grubb signed the contract in the station? And she's like, yeah. I was like, good to know. So that's my favorite story to pull out when I'm in Lightning Rod Station and I meet a random enthusiast. Like, so right over there, that's where they signed the papers for Steel Vengeance.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, when you announced this at Keys to the Kingdom, and then you and I spent a decent amount of time filming and taking pictures of Storm Chaser and talking about this, I was like, this is going to be something to remember when we finally get to see it. And everything you just told me now, just now I'm even more ready for it.
Yeah. We've spent so much time on this. I mean, I am thinking about this project every single day. It is always in my mind. I have a huge section. I do most of my ideas I end up writing in the Notes app on my phone, and I have an entire folder dedicated to this doc, and I am always just writing down just different ideas I have for it. And I mean, we've made so much progress with it, and in working with this shortened version, I think is only going to make the longer version better, because it's given me the chance to really experiment and figure out what's working and what's not. So that when we decide to expand on it and everything, I think it's going to be really solid. I mean, I know I'm biased, but I think this is going to be people are gonna be talking about this for a while. Like, it's very, very cool.
I'm super excited. I'm almost 100% sure that it's gonna be amazing, even with all the hype surrounding it. I mean, you've done other documentaries in the past, and they've all been amazing and great. So I'm sure this one will be as well.
Well, thank you. I'll say this is by far the largest project. I mean, when I did the Kentucky Kingdom one, I mean, it was me. It was me doing everything. It was one camera for all the interviews. I didn't have as much equipment here. I mean, for a lot of this, it is 3 different people, me, Scott, and Sarah. We each have a camera. We're each shooting different things and multiple cameras on the interviews. We're having outside editors, people coming in. There's people doing music, animations, graphics. I mean, it is when you actually count up how many people are helping out with this thing. I mean, it's insane. So I definitely, when it comes out, I do not want to take all the credit because there is a lot of people that without them, it would not have been what it will be when it releases. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So I've actually got. I had a question. Oh, okay. Here it is. Just ballpark. How many gigs of footage do you think you have right now?
I could tell you. My hard drive's plugged in. That has it. I have an entire drive dedicated to the doc. Currently in interviews, just the interviews folder alone, I have 2 terabytes.
Oh.
In the B-roll folder, I have 700 gigabytes. In the photos and just different references, I have 10 gigs, and I'm sure that one's going to get a lot larger. We're still in the process of gathering like archival material. And music, well, music files don't take up anything. Less than a gigabyte.
Yeah,
music files are nothing.
So that's the glories of doing a podcast. Is it's like, 100 megabytes. Ooh, that's a big episode for us.
Right, but again, just in the interviews folder alone,
2 terabytes. I don't even think I have. Let's see. I have there's a terabyte here, 500. I have about 2 terabytes worth of hard drives that I use just for my photo storage. So
nice. Yeah.
I
I keep everything on a 5 terabyte drive, and then it is all backed up onto another 5 terabyte drive, and I purposely keep that drive in a different location than this one. So if something ever happened, I don't lose everything. And then there is another drive that everything has been copied onto as well. And then everything is also done through a cloud backup service. So basically, if 1 drive fails, we're still good. If 2 drives fail, we're still good. If 3 drives fail, we're still good. So I am very paranoid about this, if you can't tell.
I understand that, though, because I have corrupted some SD cards before, and it's like, this is why you have a backup.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so, 2 terabytes. That's a decent amount right there.
It's a bit.
Yep. So, I think now, Chris, I'll let you ask a couple of questions about just random roller coasters that Taylor's gotten to ride that we both want to, because I know there's one that you always like to ask about.
Oh boy. Helix.
Okay.
My number 1 bucket list.
Really? I was expecting you to say Edge and Ica or Dodo.
No, that's the one.
Those are up there.
Helix. Okay. Helix is good. So I think I had slightly wrong expectations going into this. It was my first mock multi-launch, I think. Well, no. I guess I did Time Traveler first. Well, that's not really fair because it's spinning. But I'd done Blue Fire, but like of the mock multi-launch coasters, this was this was kind of, I guess, my first like kind of introduction to them. I did it a couple days before I did Icon. So Helix, I don't think that I had fully appreciated it because I was focusing too much on how much the launches sucked. The launches are not launches. I think Liseberg even calls them like boosters. All it does is get the train up to speed. It is not forceful at all. You barely even feel like you're accelerating. And so I think that a lot of the ride experience, I was just focusing on like that launch we just hit was awful. And then we hit the second one. I'm like, are we even accelerating? So like it just wasn't fair because I wasn't focusing on like the layout, which the layout is really good. Like it's a great layout. The way it uses the terrain is insane. But yeah, unfortunately that was I had to get over that initial surprise. After my first ride, I think I got 5 on it. my other downside didn't like it. This also ruined my first ride was the lap bars really came down on me during the ride. I was stapled and it was like almost painful where it was hurting when I was kind of riding where I was like, okay, these things like please lift me. Like I had a way more painful experience with those lap bars than Skyrush. Skyrush's lap bars have never really bothered me, but
They don't
these I was
bother
like,
me
oh,
either.
this is not comfortable at all, and so I had to get past that. And so by the time I got to my fifth ride, I was good, and I was really enjoying it. It was by far my favorite ride in the park. One of my regrets is we could have stayed at Liseberg till closing, which would have given us some night rides, and opted not to. And I regret that decision. I wish I stayed longer and got a night ride on it. Um, yeah, it was good though. Funny story. I couldn't find the right entrance for like the first time when I was walking around there. I didn't realize that the right entrance is on top of a hill. And
Hmm.
so I'm walking past the entrance for this because it's a little deceiving. So in order to get there, there's some escalators, and they have a sign above the escalator saying this way to Atmosphere. Atmosphere is the big drop tower on top of the hill. I didn't realize that Atmosphere and Helix share a same building. The entrance for Helix is in the same building as Atmosphere. And so I was just seeing, okay, Atmosphere's there, but not Helix. And so I'm walking past this thing like, Helix's entrance has got to be somewhere around here. I had no idea. And so finally, I'm like, I'm just going to go up this escalator and find out. And sure enough, there it is. And I'm like, oh, I felt like a stupid American. But
I know
it
you're
was,
not alone because I've had some friends that have been over there to ride and they're like, this it was a little confusing to find that entrance.
it's just not well worded. I mean, first of all,
First of
like
all,
why would you not have Helix, the sign for Helix, be the big sign for the escalators instead of the drop tower? Like Helix is clearly the more popular attraction. That didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. I'm really hyped for it because I love terrain rides and I love mocks. Like Time Traveler is my number one overall.
Oh
Um,
yeah, no, I love Time
oh,
Traveler.
it's so
I think
good.
I think that is my favorite coaster by Mach. I think
yeah,
I like it more than
and
Helix.
I could definitely
So
see that happening for me. I just terrain, and then if I keep like I'm trying to keep my expectations chilled on the launches for sure. Like just the layout looks amazing with the terrain interaction, so I'm really excited for it with that. I'm just gonna make sure I don't
yeah,
expect anything from the launches.
yeah, don't expect anything from the launches at all. If you have that mindset, then you'll be fine. One thing this was very impressive to me. I loved the ride operator control booth. I had the
Oh
opportunity to go
yeah, they
inside
have
it
the
and look.
crazy
It
chair,
was
don't they?
so cool. It's like a gamer chair with like a joystick that controls everything. It was insane. It's probably the slickest ride op booth I have ever seen. It is amazing.
Yeah, I've seen.
It's also is it soundproof or I don't know, something like that, but it's like it's quiet in there, which is weird because in the station they're blasting Helix's soundtrack, which I don't know if you're familiar with Helix's
Oh
soundtrack, but it
Yes.
is I'm a Score's best work in my
yes.
opinion.
Oh, we share that opinion.
I listen to it not daily. I'm not that weird, but I definitely listen to it a lot.
I think at one point in time it was the alarm that I used to wake up in the morning.
That is an awesome way to wake up.
Because I over COVID I was the opener at my store, so I had to be up at like 4:45, 5 a.m. So it's like if I'm getting up that early, I'm getting up to some awesome I Am a Score music.
Dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun. Just yeah, nice.
Yes. Now, okay, you mentioned Time Traveler. Now I want to talk about that because Chris hasn't gotten to do a night ride on it.
And it's still my
Ooh, it's
number
so
one.
good.
Like,
It's I so this past summer, I did a night rain ride, and it was not light rain; it was pelting rain, and it was insane. This was our first ride on Time Traveler, and we're with some guys that have not ridden it before. Actually, I think I was the only one in our group that had ridden it before, and it is pouring. Like we know we are gonna get drenched here, and it was insane being in that back car, getting whipped over the drop, not being able to see anything because the rain is coming down so hard that like it hurts to open your eyes, and the layout just completely like you're disoriented, but in like a good way. Oh, it was insane. I loved it.
That
Yeah,
well, that was
that
the
ride
one
is too
thing
good.
going into that park this summer. Like of course, I'd heard how good Time Traveler was, and I'd heard how good Outlaw Run was. But the one thing I'd never really heard a ton of people talk about was how good every single ride that park is after the sun goes down.
Absolutely.
We did Outlaw at sunset. It was beautiful, and about 5 minutes later, we got right back on. And it's the darkest I've ever ridden a roller coaster in. And I was like, this is insane. Like, I can't see where I'm going. I have no clue what's about to happen. It was just one of those, like, experiences, like, that might be the best night ride I've ever had on any coaster.
Yeah, Outlaw Run at Night is one of my all-time favorites. I think it's the second best night ride in the world, only behind The Voyage.
I would agree with you on that. There's just something so crazy about just especially once you go under the lift hill and get to the wave turn, it's like you just can't see anything.
Yeah, it's so cool. I've done it at night a couple times. I did this past summer when they did their event. I forget what it's called, but it was awesome. And then I also did it in November when it was cold out, and it was still incredible. I think it might have been running faster then than during the summer. I don't know how that works, but
I find that to
was
be
sweet.
true with Lightning Rod to it. Like by the end
Yeah.
of December, it's like cooking.
It's fast.
But yeah, no. Silver Dollar, that was a park that was high on my bucket list when I got there this year. I was like, I see why everyone likes this place.
Yeah, I've had an interesting experience with Silver Dollar City in the way that my opinion has changed over time. Because my first visit, I was kind of underwhelmed with it, honestly, and I don't even think we spent a full day there. I just didn't get the full experience, and I went back like 2 or 3 times, and I still I liked it, but I was still just kind of underwhelmed with it. This past summer, we spent 3 days at Silver Dollar City. 3 days. I was loving it. Like it was so good. Like
Yeah.
I finally then it took I guess that would have been my 4th or 5th time to that park to really appreciate it. Like that, I don't even know how that makes sense, but it was I seriously it actually made my list of favorite parks I've been to, where previously before this past summer it wouldn't have.
I mean, it's number one for me. I love that park too much. It's got my favorite coaster. It's got Outlaw, and just the atmosphere it's like 2 times Dollywood, honestly, in my opinion.
Oh, we're not having this debate tonight, Chris.
I
Not
mean,
tonight.
Moving on.
No, for me it goes back and forth between Silver Dollar City and Knott's because those are both parks that I
love
adore.
Knott's.
Knott's the only reason, like
Knott's.
Ghost Town, that you could
Oh, so
that could be
good.
its own park, and I would pay just for that because
Oh, sure.
no, yeah. Oh,
Ghost Rider during Scary Farm is one of my all-time favorites because they're open till 2 in the morning, and riding Ghost Rider at 2 in the morning when it is completely dark out and it's foggy from all the haunt mazes that they have surrounding the coaster, it's insane. It's ridiculous. And like you said, it doesn't get cold in Southern California. I mean, well, not compared to other places at least. And but it was still a little bit chillier than, like a 90-degree day. And Ghost Rider is cooking. It was
yeah.
great.
well, Thunderhead yesterday, it was like 40 degrees, and my dad and I were like, that's the best ride we've had on it in years.
Well, that's good to hear. I'll be down there at the end of the month.
Oh yeah, I know. John Mike has already been texting me like, okay, these are the days we're gonna be there, and I was like, okay.
Oh, good. So you'll be there too.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think he
That's
told me the
good.
dates yesterday. Aren't y'all staying in Knoxville?
We are. So yeah, because we always get a cabin to fit a bunch of people, but the place where we've rent from in the past, I guess, is closed because of COVID or something. So they aren't renting to people, and so we are staying far away because all the other places were just really expensive around Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. We couldn't get the usual good deal that we normally would, and so we found this place in Knoxville, and it actually looks really good. But
where it is
yeah,
at?
unfortunately, it just means a commute.
Where are y'all staying in Knoxville?
It's like near downtown.
Okay. So I live in Knoxville. I know everywhere downtown really well. So.
Oh, good. Well, just come stop by.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We'll give you the address.
No, John
Bye.
Mike was like, "Hey, we're staying in Knoxville, and this like, what is the stuff to do?" I was like, "Well, there's a lot of stuff to do." It's like, "What do you want to do?"
Good.
So yeah,
I've actually never been in downtown, so
It-
I'm kind of looking forward to it. I mean, because I've been in Dollywood a million times. It's okay if I don't need to spend a full day there. I'll just go for a couple hours here and there, and especially if Lightning Rod is closed, I'm very laid back whenever I go to Pigeon Forge in Gatlinburg because I go there a couple times a year. So I have no problem spending a little bit of time in Knoxville. Sounds fun.
oh yeah, well, if you are a fan of like World's Fair stuff, there's a lot of stuff to see. I mean,
That's cool.
You've got our giant 250-foot golden golf ball in the sky.
What the heck?
Have you seen pictures? Yeah, I'm assuming you've seen pictures of the Sun Sphere, right?
I think.
Oh, hold on.
Is that like the weird tower?
Yeah, it's our Eiffel Tower or Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, I think I have, but
where's-
can't remember off the top of my head exactly what it looks like.
Let me go grab one of the pictures I took of it a couple days ago with my drone.
Oh, I should bring my drone
Yes,
and then get. Oh, dude, you should show me the best shots to get from the drone.
Yes,
around Knoxville.
Bring it, and then we will go flying.
Okay, I'll
downtown.
bring it. Oh, that sounds sweet.
Yeah,
I love it.
there's let me see. Did I download the right version of it?
I was gonna bring it this weekend and fly it around like Ocean City and get some cool because I haven't taken it to a beach yet. So
Ooh, that
I
sounds
figured that could be
fun.
kind of cool.
Random
And
things.
especially if there's no one there, then just
Yeah.
fly it low to the ground over the sand. Could be super cool.
When we were up in Michigan over my fall break, I took my drone and I did a lot of flying over the beach and out over the lake, and it was like, this is
Nice.
great. No, I know you and I texted about the other day, but I'm looking at when we're doing Knoxville's having their next certification test, and I'm like, please, soon.
Yeah, I still need to do. I still need to prepare more before I actually go out and take it. I don't want to be that guy that has to take it a second time.
Yeah.
But my goal is to get it to get certified by I'd say March at the latest. So I'm gonna be working on it in January and February because there's nothing else to do. Oh, that is pretty.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Okay, I have seen that before.
Yeah. So, and then
You took this?
yeah, that's with my drone.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
Yeah. So, and then the other cool thing, there's a building kind of at the end of that. It's an old train station, and that's my high school. So
Nice.
I go to school in a 115-year-old train station. It's the coolest thing ever.
That's weird.
Oh yeah, it's super weird because I walk around and it's like, that is definitely not code. How have we not been fined? 45,
That's funny.
45-degree staircases, what?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a little severe.
Yeah, it's weird, but okay. Well, I feel like we're running out of stuff to talk about. But Taylor, thank you so much. I mean, we're running.
Sure thing.
It's winding down here. We'll hit finish recording, and then it will be like, okay, and now we'll talk about this, and this. That's how it always goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But-
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're also at over an hour, so.
Hey, and you said you recorded stuff before I came on?
Yeah, there's about
Oh, yeah.
20 minutes worth of little bits of news and stuff we hit on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're gonna have a freaking long episode.
It won't be
will
as
not-
long as the episodes of Marcus.
Yes.
Those episodes, sometimes in TDR, it can go over 2 hours.
Well, I guess I'm honored that I don't talk as much. Is that how that works?
You don't incoherently scream. That's how I like to
Yeah.
describe what they do.
Yeah, I'd say that's the positive.
I can if you want, but that'd be a little weird.
I mean, sure, more content. Yeah, let's just hear it. Go ahead, Taylor.
Oh, look at the time.
This is-
Okay, well, let's finish this up.
Yeah.
Plug everything.
I think most of our
Well,
people will know where to find you, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's Coaster Studios on YouTube. It's at Coaster_Studios on Instagram, at Coaster Studios on Twitter, and we also have a Discord. You can join the chat on Discord, and I think that's it. Oh, and we're on Facebook as well.
awesome. Yeah, and then, of course, for us, it's at twisted_travelers for Instagram and at twisted traveler, but the R at the end is a 1 because Twitter refuses to let that other person, like, lose their handle.
Sounds like a personal problem.
It is. It really is. I have taken this to heart now. That's like my dying wish is I want the at twisted traveler Twitter handle.
Well, best of luck.
Yep. I'm gonna hunt that guy down and be like, give me your Twitter handle now. Anyway, yeah, so we will be back next week. We've got more fun stuff lined up for the rest of this year. Again, Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. If you ever just feel like hopping on, it's the exact same rules as the Drunk Riders. If we're in here, it's fair game.
All right, sounds good.
So, thank you all for listening, and we will catch you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Twisted Travelers Podcast.